We're leaving the West Coast and heading east, and not far along is Queenstown. The nearby Mount Lyell copper mine has been a significant producer of gold and copper since 1894. The mine's been closed since 2014 following 3 fatal accidents. A subsequent rockfall and challenging economic conditions has made the operation financially unviable. The Queen River runs through Queenstown, and we were quite shocked when we saw the colour of the water. For almost a century, the Mount Lyell copper mine has used the river as a tailings dump. While dumping ended in 1994, the copper and iron pollution persists. Sadly, the river is considered one of the most polluted in Australia. There's definitely a Wild West feel to Queenstown as you look up the street toward Mount Owen. There's another chance to access the West Coast Wilderness Railway here in Queenstown. It seems to be the preferred option to Strahan, but you must definitely book ahead. There's a lookout on a hill in the middle of the town. It's called Sky on Cop. It's quite a steep climb with 360-degree views and lots of historical facts to read while you catch your breath. When hostilities broke out in the Second Boer War in 1899, Tasmania was one of the first British colonies to send volunteers to support the British cause. In Queenstown, the local community was feverish with fanatical enthusiasm. On the 26th of January 1900, news came through of a humiliating British defeat on a hill in Natal called Spy on Cop. The Spy on Cop cannon is one of 2 cast in 1898 at the Queenstown smelters. The road heading east out of Queenstown is steep and windy. The locals call this section of the road the 99 Bends. It's such a barren landscape. The local forests were cut down entirely to provide timber for mine shafts and fuel to feed the smelter furnaces. And the combination of toxic air and heavy rain resulted in acid rain, which washed away the soil and prevented the forest from regenerating. A major bushfire in 1934 further destroyed any remaining timber. While the hills have been famously barren for decades, vegetation is now slowly returning, with shrubs and trees beginning to re-emerge on the mountainsides. Wow. There's a lookout. This cairn marks the former boundary between Gormanston and Queenstown. In 1986, the 2 municipalities were joined. We're continuing on to the Iron Blow Lookout. The site was the location of the earliest major mining venture at Mount Lyell, starting with gold in 1883 before transitioning to copper. The information boards at the car park explain the region's boom and bust mining story and its significant environmental impact. A cantilevered platform juts out over the mine pit. The water which now fills it is a beautiful turquoise colour from the leaching of copper in the rocks. The Horsetail Falls is not far from the Iron Blow Lookout. The boardwalk itself is amazing. It leads you along a very rocky hillside with the local geology on full display. It was an extremely hot day, and it was extremely dry. When we finally caught sight of the falls, it didn't look like there was any water at all. But when I zoomed in, there was just a trickle. We continued down the valley past Gormanston and the little ghost town of Linda. Linda was first established in around 1899, but today there's fewer than 10 people live there. It's a different looking cafe. Notice the trail going up the side of Mount Owen. These are mountain bike trails. The upper Mount Owen trails may only be accessed via shuttle and are only suitable for experienced and confident riders. The trails are well known for the incredible 360-degree views from the shuttle drop-off point and various scenic outlooks along the trails. Not for the faint-hearted. Lake Burberry, just east of Queenstown, is a man-made water reservoir. It's a popular fishing lake, but it can be susceptible to extreme weather. Waters from the reservoir feed the John Butler's hydroelectric power station. We ventured down a road less travelled to the Thurrow Hills boat ramp. We decided to have lunch here. We met a group of young people from Strawn, trying their luck with some fishing. We crossed over the lake via the Bradshaw Bridge and continued on the Lyell Highway. We stopped at Nelson Falls. It's one of Tasmania's 60 great short walks. It was quite magical as the leatherwood trees were out in flower and the petals were falling like snow. It was so nice to be back in the temperate rainforest after the barrenness of Queenstown. After we left Nelson Falls, we began to see patches of leatherwood trees and areas along the side of the road full of beehives. Leatherwood honey is among the world's most unique and rare wild honeys. It's known for its strong floral and spicy flavour, and it's exclusive to Tasmania's West Coast. During summer, the worker bee only lives for about 5 to 7 weeks. They work themselves to death foraging, often dying from exhaustion. Derwent Bridge is a small, remote township in Tasmania's Central Highlands. This is our stop for the night. The Derwent Bridge Wilderness Hotel has a free camp, but unfortunately for us it was closed. The River Derwent starts its journey at Lake St Clair, here in the Central Highlands. The river is used for hydroelectricity and runs through 10 major power stations and 1 mini hydro station. These stations, ranging from the upper to lower Derwent, were constructed between 1934 and 1968, utilising the river's flow from the Central Highlands to the ocean. Tomorrow we're going to visit the Wall in the Wilderness. Greg Duncan, a self-taught sculptor, has spent over a decade carving 100 metres of hewn pine panels. The carvings depict the history, hardships and spirit of the Central Highlanders. Greg is renowned for the uncanny realism in his carvings. Just up the road from our overnight stay is a beautifully maintained rest stop. We may be in the wilderness, but Derwent Bridge even has a charge point for EVs. Welcome to the wall. Greg asks respectfully that no photographs be taken of his carvings, so we can't show you any photographs of his magnificent work. The building alone just blew us away. The detail and workmanship is just amazing. I think a visit to the wall is a must. I'll leave a link in the description of a couple of YouTube videos that I've found on the wall. It'll give you a look inside this building and an idea of who Greg Duncan is. You can book your self-guided tour online at a cost of $18 per person, or just walk in for $22. Lake St Clair is part of the Cradle Mountain Lake St Clair National Park, and it's at Lake St Clair that Tasmania's most iconic multi-day walk, the Overland Track, comes to an end. Over 6 days, bushwalkers on this renowned track traverse a diverse and spectacular landscape, finishing up at the lake's edge. Tiger snakes are very common in Tasmania. You need to keep a lookout for them. It was a quick visit to Lake St Clair, as we were looking forward to meeting up with some good friends from Tin Can Bay who now live in Bronte Park. Bronte Park's a very small community close to the geographical centre of Tasmania. It has a small general store with an interesting menu and some extra Tasmanian delicacies. Even some deer antlers for sale. I think he even had a price on his head. It was so good to see Merv and Maggie again after many years. Join us next time as we check out the Central Highlands and continue our journey to the East Coast.